Backpack Broadcasting continues to bring you the best original sports content, but now you can get more of the content you love. For as little as $3 a month, you can get access to bonus content, including behind-the-scenes footage and interviews from the Sports Walk, Sideline Stories, or the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. All this exclusive content comes via Patreon. There are tiered levels of patronage, and each Backpack Broadcasting patron receives exclusive perks. Your support helps Backpack Broadcasting create more of the original content that you love. Visit Backpack Broadcasting's Patreon page and become a patron today. Hard to Tell podcast. We are back. Dexter Bryan Fonseca, episode 39. Can you believe it already?
I know.
We've done 38 of these before this.
Well, see, here's the thing too. We haven't. We've done more than that.
That's true. If you count extra stuff.
If you count
stuff.
Extras, bonuses. I told you that second podcast we just did with Michael Grady could count as another whole episode, but we're not gonna do that. It was extra for the people. Yeah.
Well, the people who support on Patreon.
Yeah.
If you support there, then you got access to the episode. So if you want to do that, you can do that. I know you saw the ad at the beginning of this podcast, but we're plugging it again.
Yeah. We're gonna be playing the ad every episode. So
yeah, should be good. Episode 39. We always pick a number of an athlete who we like for this. 39. I feel like lately
you think you know where I'm going, and I think I know where you're going. So
yeah.
this is interesting.
I think I know. So Brian always compiles the list, and I feel like these numbers lately have been whack.
I mean, but look, like, think about it. Like, 37, 38, 39, those aren't really, like,
Like, nobody's dying to rock that. Like, no kid is like, I'm going to put 39 on my back.
Yeah, exact 36. You know what I mean? Once we get to 40, it will be a little more difficult. Like, once you get to the 40s.
I think there'll be some more. There's players I can think about already.
Yeah.
In the 40s where it's a little bit better.
Yeah.
You think I'm going with who?
Okay, so we have a list. I think you're going with Steven Jackson?
No.
Okay.
He was my number 2 choice, but no. So that's not horrible.
Is it Darryl Strawberry?
It is Darryl Strawberry.
Oh, I knew it. With the Yankee one? Even the Yankee one?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Because I don't think we got him for 18.
Nah, because we hadn't started doing it until we got to 30.
Yeah, so now I have to give.
So what we're gonna do is to make up for that. Once we get to the 100s.
Yeah, we'll start back with some of the single digit.
Yeah, 101 will actually be number 1, so it'll be Ahmed Rosario or whoever.
Or Penny Hardaway.
Okay. So you want Yankee Darryl Strawberry. Where do you think I'm going?
You're going with the boxer. You're so
the loophole. No, I'm not going with Aaron Pryor. I put him there.
A boxer doesn't have a number because he's 39-1.
Yeah,
you put him down, which I thought was corny. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I just loophole though. But but here's who I actually want to go with: Edwin Diaz. Do you know who Edwin Diaz?
I remember Edwin Diaz.
He is no, not that one. The closer currently with the Mariners.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the former Nationals pitcher.
No.
He bounced around a lot of places. Rangers.
Yeah.
Places.
I don't know if he wore. He might have worn 39 with the Rangers. I don't know. But Edwin Diaz right now with the Seattle Mariners, and he's Puerto Rican, so that's part of why I have him here.
I should have realized that's where you're going.
He is on pace to break K-Rod's all-time single-season saves record.
Which he is 63,
I think.
Yeah.
62 or 63. He has 47 right now. We're in the middle of August. Wow. At least at the time we're recording this. His ERA is 2.07. People are campaigning for him to get Cy Young votes because he's been such a shutdown closer. I think he only has 1 or 2 blown saves, and he has 105 strikeouts in 61 innings. Like, he's killing right now. And he was an all-star for the first time.
That is how long? When did
he's only 24.
set that record?
He's only 24. We're the same age.
How long has that record stood? At least a decade now.
I want to say roughly 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Like, that's, and this is for the Mariners. This wasn't a team that was expected to be where they are.
Yeah, except they're right there in the wild card.
Even with Robinson Cano, missing all those games, and all of a sudden this kid emerges as a shutdown closer, and this is his 3rd season.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to go with him. K-Rod's record of 62 saves was in 2008, so exactly 10 years.
So 10 years. I thought it felt like that.
And then the year after is when he became a Met. Do you have fond memories of him with the Mets?
There aren't too many people I have fond memories of with the Mets, sadly.
Jeff Kent wore 39 with the Mets 1 year.
For 1 year before he switched to 12. Yes. I actually, what year was that? I don't remember.
92.
I thought it was early 90s. Cause I remember that's when I started going to games.
Yeah.
When nobody said shit.
And the current Met that wears 39 is the disappointing Jerry
Blevins. Who's been absolutely awful this year.
Hopefully they'll trade him on August 31st and get something.
Probably not.
Because he's playing a little better now.
I have no hope.
So yeah, I go Edwin Diaz. You go.
I have to go Dow Strawberry, man.
All right, we'll renegotiate.
Even though it was weird for me to see him when he wore 39.
That's the thing. It's a Yankee uniform.
It was so weird.
We could renegotiate.
But I was rooting for him.
Well, we might use both. Weird. We might use both. I might tell Matt, have them fighting for the number or something.
Wow.
This was the most surprising thing to me was Greg Ostertag wore number 39 for 2 seasons.
I remember him always as
double zero, right? Yeah, that's what I said. And I'm like, Matt's a Utah Jazz fan. I was like, he gonna want that, but he ain't here, so it's okay. He's not
getting involved in that.
Yeah,
he's not getting involved in that. All right, man. So what have you been up to? Because we know you went to
NXT
wrestling.
Well, by the time we put this out, SummerSlam and Raw and SmackDown will all have already been finished.
Great.
Yeah. But I had a revelation when I went to NXT on Saturday, and you're looking at me already.
That wrestling is corny.
No, stop it. All right. NXT, I'm telling you, NXT is much better. SummerSlam, I don't know how they're going to follow that up.
What NXT for people who do, because
might not NXT know. They're the developmental system for the WWE. Guys who they sign, even experienced veterans who they sign, they go there first for like a couple years, work on their character, work on their moves and things of that nature, and adapt to like the WWE style. And when they're ready, they get called up. Some people get highly, accelerated through that process, but it's basically their minor league system.
And are there people out there that say NXT is better than WWE?
Yes, but it's different in wrestling. It's different in wrestling. It's not like AAA and it's not like college and, the pros. It's different because a lot of times at NXT, a lot of these guys, like, they're actually experienced because they wrestle in like Japan and they wrestle in like England and they wrestle in Ring of Honor and TNA and other, companies in America, out of America, Germany and whatnot. So they're already really good and have experience, and where you go to WWE to kind of do is work on like the character aspect of it, and kind of develop your character a little bit more, learn how to put yourself over better on the microphone and talk and things like that. So you're kind of working on those aspects more in the WWE to become more of a star as opposed to just being a really good wrestler.
Got it.
So there's kind of levels to it there. With NXT, though, now you're seeing guys kind of develop those characters early, and they're getting really, really good at it. And it's just here's the thing: it's like it's more of a quality over quantity sort of thing. SummerSlam, and now they're doing this with WrestleMania, with SummerSlam, with big pay-per-views. It's 6 hours basically, so it's 7 to 11, and the pre-show begins at 5. So you have 2 hours of pre-show, and then you have 7 to 11. I see you shaking your head. Because you can't imagine. That's why I'm not. That's why.
I mean, somebody could argue and be like, "Well, Dexter, you'd watch basketball all day on Christmas."
That's different. I think that's different.
I do think it's different games. Look, I don't care for wrestling. Everybody, if we've gone through this before, I don't really care for it.
Yeah,
haven't for quite some time.
Yeah,
but sitting there for 6+ hours.
Yeah,
at one event for one thing is a lot.
I fell asleep during the last WrestleMania, like toward the end. But that was when I think it was during like Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns, and Brock Lesnar's really, really boring as a wrestler now. So it's just I don't even find him that entertaining.
People falling asleep during. I would probably fell asleep from the first match.
No, the first match was. I think the first match was good. I don't even remember what it was, but NXT basically. So it started at the doors opened at 4:45.
This is your revelation.
Yeah, hold on.
Okay,
that's not it. The doors opened at 4:45. It started at 6:15 because they actually taped the NXT that's going to air from Brooklyn later in the week, like the actual episode of NXT, not the big event. So that's 6:15 to like 7, and then 7, and then 5 matches. It's done at 9:30, and it's great. 5 matches, all of them were great. You know what I mean? It's more bang for your buck. We sat at a really good level. Like, I don't know if you saw the picture that I posted.
I did. I saw it.
So we were in like the 5th row of that section. And yeah, it was great. The tickets were a little bit less than $200. So it was like, it's worth it. If you go to SummerSlam for, those same seats, it'll probably be triple the price or something like that. Which is another factor in me not wanting to go.
Okay,
to
what's this revelation that happened?
I was watching this and I was like, yo, at some point in my life, I feel like I could like do something, not as a wrestler, but like on camera, like maybe be a manager for a wrestler and be very obnoxious jerk and like get people to hate me type of thing.
As opposed to you now not being.
That's what I'm saying.
Jerk?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like I can actually be pretty good.
Why
at
do you have to be an obnoxious jerk to be a good?
It's easier
manager?
to be. It's easier. It's more relaxing to be a bad guy in wrestling. It's just easier to be a heel, especially when you're like naturally just think that way. I feel like it's easier to get people to dislike you than to like you.
Okay.
And in a way, if you do that in wrestling, if you're a really good heel, a lot of people will like you. So it's kind of that sort of.
The message to the kids out there is all you kids out there who are little jerks. Continue being little jerks, and one day you can become a heel.
Well, I was watching that. I was like, yo, at some point in my life, I might, independent wrestling outlets hit me up. I might want to, take somebody to the next level, so we can try to work that out.
Wow,
I'm pretty.
This was your revelation.
I think that you think that I would be good at it, though. I'm pretty sure.
I'm being honest. I kind of don't know, but if that's what it takes, then I'm like, yeah, I see it.
And remember, I'm not like a casual. I've been watching wrestling since I was 3. Like, there's a infamous story in my family of when I was little and my brother would put wrestling on to shut me up because I used to cry a lot when I was a little kid, when I was like 3 or whatever. Like, there were 2 things that would shut me up mainly, was wrestling and then it's just other sports. Like Felix Trinidad fighting.
And now you're here talking about sports. So sports doesn't shut you up.
Yeah. But it would stop me from crying, you know what I'm saying? When I was like 3 or whatever. Especially Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was enamored with him first when I was really little. So
wrestling community, very interesting. Yeah. You guys are very
but
very interesting.
See, here's the thing too. Being in the crowd is interesting because it's like, wrestling fans, you can't be quiet around them for a long period of time. And what I mean by that is when you see them in a crowd, at some point they're going to start randomly chanting things, whether it's a Ric Flair woo and then other people follow, they just chant, wrestlers' names and things like that. Like, it's just going to be random and it's going to do it. It's a little bit nauseating if you're not like that sort of, like me and my brother, people watch like hell when we're there.
I mean, I saw some people.
That sounds so judgmental right
getting
now.
Off I was on the train getting off at Atlantic in Brooklyn. And I saw people, getting off to go that. Or when I was on my way to Manhattan yesterday and I saw some people coming when I got to Columbus Circle, heading downtown for NXT. I mean, I saw a bunch of people in like wrestling shirts and gear and all
replica
this stuff.
titles. Yo, when I eventually like get a dope spot and get my own man cave, I'm gonna have a replica championship belt. A $300-$400 championship belt.
I'm gonna just take that championship belt from you.
I'm gonna hit you with it first.
Just to take the championship belt from you.
I don't know which one I'm gonna get yet, though. I haven't decided. I might get the Attitude Era big gold.
We gotta get some. We do have to get some more wrestling people on here. I gotta get.
I'm highly interested.
Even my guys, Dan Serafin and Kurt Semder from News 12, they're doing a little wrestling show now, which is good. They filmed it from the Barclays the other day. I saw they did that.
I actually, it's funny because me and Dan follow each other on Instagram recently. I had just saw a clip, and I sent it to you. One of those. And
games you said you thought you'd be good on.
I was like, yeah, I think.
They've been doing it, and there was when I was working, there was a couple other guys there who were big wrestling fans that hop on the show. Yeah, some producers. Anthony Sarkasa, some other guys I knew there that were hopping on the show. So yeah, they're doing it. It's good. People seem to like it, and it's fun. There's a lot. I'm not into the wrestling, but there's a lot for people out there that are. Yeah,
especially NXT. I mean, like I've always said, to me, it's like a live action movie. So,
Yeah, so we'll see. And, we do, even what we do here at Backpack Broadcasting, we have a piece that hopefully eventually will come out on some independent wrestling here in New York that we've been working on. Brian's actually working on that. He was
surprise.
Yeah, surprise. He's the perfect person for it. Surprise. Nobody would have thought that. Okay, so you've been enjoying the wrestling. That's what you've been up to.
Yes, I have.
Wrestling. Yeah. Maybe one day.
Granted, I'm not up on it the way I was, like, in my maybe adolescent, teenage years or whatever, because, like, I'm working a lot more, so I'm a little bit.
I just know like a few wrestlers now. I haven't had time for it in a long time.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like if yesterday, you wouldn't have probably known anybody.
Yeah, no.
Outside of Mark Henry, who was in the crowd at one point.
Yeah, I know who that is. But outside of, I probably would have been like.
But I knew people just because, like, I know it a little bit more. But
wrestling guy.
You know what though, and in all seriousness, like video games really help in this aspect. Like that's how I'm able to easily keep up with certain sports and things like that. Like just video games and stuff. That's if I were to get Madden, which I'm not this year, but if I were to get Madden, I'll be acing fantasy football if I was playing. You know what I mean?
I'm not even doing that this year.
Yeah, nah.
We'll be doing another fantasy sport. Oh, we'll announce that soon too.
Yeah. Plug.
That'll be coming up too. As far as me, this week, anything interesting? No.
Accuweather.
Yeah. Yes, I had to cover flooding this week.
Oh.
Flash flooding is always exciting to do that. So I took a trip with my coworker. We were up in Elmira, New York. This is one of the things about my job that I'm learning now is that, I got to keep a bag ready. Like, I have to be ready to go at any time. Like, I literally got a call. I think that
You mean a bag of money?
Nah. Nah.
No, because,
No. It's not
bag on me?
It's not that dire of an emergency. But, no, I need a bag of, like, clothes and, like, toiletries ready because sometimes you get a call and it's the morning and it's like, we want you to go here.
Yeah.
And that's happened twice already. And I've only worked the job for, I think, 5 weeks, going on 6 weeks.
Yeah. Sounds right.
So that's already happened twice. That's the one thing I'm learning. It's like, man, you got to keep it. So I had to go. We had to go to Elmira for some flooding. I mean, the flooding was probably not as bad as we thought it was going to be. It was okay. It just was, man, going to Western New York, it's a drive, man. Like 5.5 hours.
Yeah, it's Canada.
And it was, it wasn't that high up.
So you were by, like, passing St. Bonaventure and stuff like that?
We're passing, like, Binghamton, right on the tip of Elmira. So it's basically like where New York and Pennsylvania on the western part of the state kind of meet.
Okay.
We're right there.
Okay.
And so we basically are going up across and driving across the state. Now I'm going to Syracuse in 2 weeks, and then I'll be going more north. But
Canada.
That's not as close, but still. I mean, it's not like Buffalo. I mean, that's not even that far. That's like 2 hours from
Montreal's 5.5 hour drive.
No, it's not. Because I've done that drive. Montreal is not a 5.5 hour drive. It's
well, where'd you leave from?
Drive. New York.
8 hour drive?
Yes. 8 hour drive. I think it's 8.5 hours, actually.
Really?
I would never do that drive again. That was a huge, I don't say it was a huge mistake.
You could just fly it. I mean, I've flown from here to Pittsburgh before, and that was an hour. It's way better than driving 7 hours.
Well, I've done that many times in my life.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You went to Pitt.
Yeah, I've done that drive many times. So yeah, just the traveling aspect of that, kind of getting adjusted to that. But then a couple more things coming up. So I will get to do the Little League World Series. We're doing some stuff out there for Accuweather, and then the following week I'm going to something I haven't done before, just like the Little League World Series, the Great New York State Fair. It's in Syracuse. They do this big fair every year in New York State. All these food vendors, all these activities. I think one of the days is like the start of Syracuse is kicking off their season. Syracuse. So
that's Pitt talk. That's not,
It is.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But that should be fun. So that should be different. That should be fun too. And come back and it's Labor Day. So next couple of weeks, some travel. That's it. Just been doing some travel. I feel like there's been stuff going on in sports. I was talking to my boy the other day, and he's like, "Yo, it's kind of like, we're waiting for the NBA to come back."
Yeah.
Some people are excited about the NFL. He's telling me, he's like, a lot's been happening lately. And I'm like, it's been...
Not really.
I'm like, no, it's been kind of dead.
Yeah.
I've just kind of been like...
Yeah. No, it's
But
definitely...
you know how it's dead? We opened the show talking about wrestling.
So?
That shows you how dead it is.
Listen, I mean, part of why I do like wrestling and boxing is that they're year-round, and MMA also is that they're year-round things, even though I think wrestlers should get off-season.
No. See, that's not it. We know this. We know what this is really about.
What is this really about?
You like violence. That's what it's really about. You like violence. That's what all three of those things have in common. You like violence.
Well, you would say wrestling is fake violence.
It is fake violence.
There we go.
Skilled. I agree. There's skill to it.
There's a lot of skill.
I will
See,
never
that's the thing
deny
about
that.
NXT. NXT, the skill level is so high, like it's ridiculous.
I will never deny that, and we will have at some point get a wrestler up here.
That's what I want to do.
I
yes.
will not deny that, and I understand that people always have that debate.
Yeah.
But I do, and I will say, from working on that piece,
Yeah.
I gained a greater appreciation for the skill, the training
Yeah.
work that goes into wrestling, and through the training, despite it being scripted, some of the injuries that these guys and women, have to deal with.
Yeah.
So, I've got a great appreciation for that. It's still not my thing. I think it's scripted. I think it's a lot of bad acting. So I'd, rather watch a show where the acting is pretty good.
Depends. It depends on what you're watching again. So, yeah. I would say
we talked wrestling.
Yeah.
I thought we talked wrestling this much.
It's a sport. Go ahead. Say something.
That's debatable. That's debatable. I don't know about all that.
Speaking of sports, are you ready for our next topic?
I am. Yeah, I'm so dying to get away from wrestling. Please.
Because we're gonna talk about your least favorite thing that happened this past week or last week. At the time
least
we're putting
favorite
this out.
thing that happened last week?
Yes.
Man, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a teaser. We'll be back.
I guess you will be back. Yeah, we'll be back on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. The Sports Walk is back. Watch Season 2 of Backpack Broadcasting's original web series that brings you the opinions of real sports fans. The entire first season and current season are available now on the Sports Walk YouTube channel and Facebook page. Check out the 2017 NYC WebFest official selection and see what other sports fans have to say on the hottest issues in sports today. It's easy. Just take the Sports Walk. Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, episode 39. We are back here, and Brian apparently, I don't even know what he was talking about. He said there's something that I'm disgusted with in sports.
Basically, yeah.
Or happened last week that I don't like anymore.
The thing that annoyed you the most last week in sports.
And
yeah, you texted me about this.
I did.
You said that you're tired of NFL. What was it? Training camp fight videos?
Yeah. So every time you're on ESPN now, or you see some people are posting this on Twitter, Instagram, wherever. There's these training camp fight videos, and we're analyzing these. Like, we're literally analyzing these and acting like this is something new.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if you've watched training camp as a fan, you've been there as a media member, it is hot. It is August. Sometimes these dudes are wearing pads. They could be on the same team. And now you're doing these joint practices, which has become more common, where you have one team practicing against another team, which I think is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you got some guys talking a bunch of smack to each other in the heat, wearing pads, as I said. Yeah, of course something's going to pop off.
This may shock you, but I'm all for the fighting in training camp.
First of all, I'm all for, oh, yes, because you love violence, another theme of this podcast. I'm all for it, too, though, because people say, well, when it happens between a team, it's not a big deal. This is not a big deal at all. These, happen all the time. I expect it to, for all the reasons I mentioned before. These guys are talking crap, hot, sweaty, wearing pads. And sometimes it's veterans ribbing younger players. Sometimes it's younger players trying to make a name for themselves, and they can't back it up. Things get heated. I've seen fights on the Jets. I've seen fights on the Giants. Nobody takes this stuff really that seriously. Maybe somebody gets punked and gets clowned for the rest of the year, but you should have fought better, or you should have backed up what you had to say.
Yeah.
I just don't think we have to make a big deal about it and put it on all the time.
What? Okay, so I guess that's the element. I was going to ask you what element of this annoys you the most.
It's that we're talking about. It's like this person got into a fight at this training camp. And then I've seen it on a couple of shows, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Could we act like we've seen this before?
Damn, did you just act like you've been here before, guy?
Yeah, I did. That's age, that makes me sound old. Maybe because I've seen it like 55 times before.
Maybe, yeah. But, I mean, it is what it is. I think...
I'm over it.
Yeah, I mean, would you have preferred that there was a camera wherein Geno Smith got punched by IK and Impali?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Is that not hypocritical?
No, you know why?
Why?
Because you rarely see in all these fights. A lot of these fights are tussles. It kind of looks a little bit like wrestling. Somebody gets tossed to the ground. You rarely get to see folks throw hands. Throwing hands,
okay.
A lot of dudes might it's called almost like another thing I'm annoyed about. We'll get to that in a second too, about baseball bench clearing brawls. How lame that is. But you rarely get to see these guys throw hands. Most times it's somebody's grabbing somebody else and grabbing the face mask.
Although I do like Aqib Talib that he keeps snatching Michael Crabtree's chain. That's funny to me.
Yeah.
He did it to him, and then the next time Crabtree had it like taped to his chest or whatever, and he still ripped it off.
See,
Keep Talib is a gangster.
The thing about Acuna punching Geno Smith, and I was around the Jets at the time that happened. The thing about that is you have to realize it's like, yo, this occurred not in the middle of either of these dudes being on the field. This is on the sidelines. They both had their helmets off, and Acuna had so little respect for the person who was supposed to be the starting quarterback of the Jets that year that he said, you know what, I'm going to snuff you.
And allegedly owed him $600.
Which
I will defend Geno Smith for the rest of his career over that incident. Because Acuna is a hothead.
I mean, if you
remember, he got arrested in college after like resisting arrest, and he had to be tased by police in college.
If you owed the man $600, you should pay. Geno Smith, you couldn't pay him $600.
Yeah, I would. I agree. I would punch somebody in the face if they owe me $600 and wasn't going to give me the $600. Now,
but see, that's the thing. I think Acuna has to be smart enough to be like, I think Geno Smith probably would have given him $600. He was just probably like, yo, I'm the quarterback of the Jets. I'm gonna give it to you on my terms.
Probably. There's something to be said for that.
I think Geno Smith was probably like, you're Acuna, I'm Geno Smith. You're going to wait when I give you the $600. But Acuna was like, nah.
I'm telling you what, I think Geno Smith is going to start at some point this year. Because for some reason.
Where's he, San Diego?
Yes. He has that Ryan Fitzpatrick effect where anytime where he's been on the team, he'll get a starting chance. Like, it doesn't matter what the team is or whatever the case may be.
Your love for Geno Smith.
No, it's not a love. I just defend how the Jets mishandled that situation. I defend him because of how the Jets mishandled that situation. They ruined him from the start.
I'll tell you
him from the start.
What I'll say, though, back to the punching in the face and the fighting, and I remember this at the time, nobody in that Jet locker room was, running to the defense of Geno Smith like that. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Nobody was running to his defense.
Nah, there's something to be said for that, too.
There is a lot to be said for that.
Well, he's still getting these checks. He'll be 28 in October, so.
I don't think anybody well, let's hope he doesn't get punched. See, how does he step into a locker room? You're always known as the dude that got punched in the face on the sideline.
I don't. I would love. I've told you this before, like in all seriousness and partial seriousness, but in all seriousness, he is one of the athletes on my list of people that I have to, like, interview at some point. Have to. Like, I have so many questions for him, many of which I don't know he'll answer.
I don't. Probably not.
But maybe when his career is over and he's, been in the NFL for like 12 years as a veteran backup or whatever the case may be, he might not give it, whatever.
Nobody ever wants to talk about that time they got punched in the face and didn't do anything about it.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'll open up about it at some point. But we got off track. So you're
probably opened up that fist.
You're tired of. You're tired of the training camp fight videos.
Yep.
What we're both tired of is baseball players, pitchers in particular, throwing baseballs 97 miles an hour at other baseball players who really, even though they have a bat, they're defenseless because it's so fast. I don't think people comprehend the speed at which a major league fastball moves, especially if it's in the upper 90s to even 100 miles an hour. Jose Urena. And remember, this is the first pitch of the game, so if you weren't aware, last week, Jose Urena, pitcher for the Marlins. I'm sure people have never heard of him before this. A lot of people, because he plays for the Marlins and baseball is a regional sport largely. He is one of their young pitchers. He, in the very first pitch of the game, this is after Ronald Acuna had hit 8 home runs in 8 straight games. Like, it was crazy. He was on a tear. And back-to-back-to-back, 3 straight games of leadoff home runs. So Jose Urena took it upon himself, literally in his own right hand, to beam Ronald Acuna in his back, but Ronald Acuna moved his elbow there. He moved his elbow and absorbed the hit. And he beamed him with the first pitch of the game. He was subsequently taken out of the game after warming up in the second inning, and he wasn't, probably able to move as swiftly or whatever. Coming back the next day,
Urena was ejected immediately, which I do credit the umpires in the situation for doing.
Yeah, he was after like the benches kind of cleared, and it took a while for the benches to clear, but they kind of cleared. If you watch the clip, this is interesting. I don't know if you want to run this or whatever, but so he's standing there, like just kind of staring at Ronald Acuna. Maybe he doesn't know how to react, sort of thing, but it doesn't give off like he was very apologetic. And then there was also JT Realmuto, the catcher for the Marlins. You see him, like, he gets up. He as soon as Ronald Acuna gets hit, he does one of these where he just kind of like, yo, come on, bro. Like it looked like that was the kind of reaction he gave him because it didn't look like he called for that. You know what I mean? It looks like Urena just kind of did it on his own sort of merit.
I'm wondering about that in these situations because usually when it comes to these beating situations, it seems like there's some kind of directive from somebody in the team.
That's what I was thinking.
I find it hard to believe that somebody on the team didn't know about this before he did it. Somebody in that bullpen knew. He told somebody, like, yo, I'm going to do it. I don't believe.
Or someone told him to do it. Because that was my first sort of inclination. That was my cynicism kind of like alerted me like, yo.
I think it's possible everybody on the team didn't know it was coming. It's possible Ria Muto didn't know it was coming.
Yeah.
But I think at least somebody else in the team
at least a couple pitchers. It could maybe even the pitching coach. The pitching coach, if that really surprised you, I don't even know who the pitching coach is off the top of my head, nor do I care to look it up. But whoever it is, it would have surprised me if he was like, hey, Jose, you know what I mean? Like, just give him one in the ribs.
Here's the thing.
First pitch of the game.
Here's what I don't understand. And this is baseball's thing again with their unwritten rules and their own rules. Somebody is owning you.
Yeah.
They're smacking home runs off of you.
Yeah.
You as the pitcher, you know what? Let's call out pitchers. Pitchers stop being so insecure.
Yeah. The pitching coach's name is Juan Nieves.
Yeah, stop being so insecure. If he hit 3 straight leadoff home runs against your team.
Was it against his team?
I think 2 were against the Marlins and the 1 was against another team.
Okay.
How about you guys pitch better?
Yeah.
How about that?
That's the thing.
So your thing is like, this guy owned me, so you know what? I'm gonna throw this 97 mile per hour fastball in the upper part of his body. Like that's what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
That's how about you pitch better? What if somebody did this in other sports? Oh, in basketball, somebody crossed me and jade me. Next time I come up to court, I'm gonna just punch him in the jaw.
Yeah.
To go back to Icon Pie. That's how we're gonna handle things. Like, really?
Yeah, it's like, if you're so mad, just strike him out.
Be better.
The differences with baseball, especially, it's like, and this is what I texted you. I was like, that is a form of assault. If you really
I agree.
It's a 97 mile an hour fastball that could really do a lot of damage. Think about what it could do. It can legitimately kill somebody if they're hitting the head with it, even with a helmet on.
Yep.
We've seen it happen.
Cause some form of brain injury,
CTE,
damage.
whatever. We've seen guys get concussions from that. We've seen guys leave games due to injuries because of that. Jose Urena subsequently appealed the suspension. Apparently, he's eligible to play in the weekend of after the game.
Let's stop right there. First of all, a couple things.
And it was a 6-game suspension, which for a pitcher is only a starting pitcher is 1 missed start.
Stupid.
Yeah.
I'm sick of baseball with this too.
Yeah.
When pitchers do stuff like this, they get suspended from we'll get to brawls in a second.
Yeah.
They do this stuff and you suspend them for 6 games. 6 games is nothing for a pitcher.
Nothing.
Yes, they lose money. I get it.
Yeah.
But they're in terms of service time to their team, it's 1 start.
Mm-hmm.
Not good enough. Poor job. When is baseball going to send a message to say this isn't right? Nobody in baseball is saying this. What you saw happen was a couple players come out and say, oh, like, that's not cool what Urena did. Don Mattingly comes out and said, this is not part of our culture. Nowhere did Don Mattingly or any of these players say this shouldn't happen in the game of baseball. Not one player has come out and say that. Not one manager has come out and say that. Rob Manfred hasn't come out and said that. Nobody says this. Everybody's like, yeah, basically it's kind of cool until somebody does something so egregious that you know that it was definitely intentional, that we can't even defend it. So now we're going to say, we don't do that, but y'all do that.
Yeah.
Everybody in the sport does this, and nobody comes out and says, this is wrong. How about that? This is wrong. This is where I rocked with Manny Machado a couple years ago when some Boston players tried to beat him, and he said, next time I'm going to come out there with my bat.
Yeah.
And I was with him.
Yeah.
And I'm not condoning violence. I'm not a lover of violence like Bryan here. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if you have guys who are throwing 97 mile per hour fastballs at you, well, what's wrong if the dude comes out there with the bat? But see, that'll never fly because then Manny Machado will be in the wrong and he'll be labeled all kinds of things that we know are coming. Mm-hmm. They would hate me. If I played baseball, if I was good enough to play in the Major League Baseballs and I was smacking home runs out of these parks on pitchers, I'd be staring down pitchers all the time.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'd be
bat flipping like Jose Bautista in that playoff game.
And then I would tell everybody, my post-game interviews, I'd be like, I wish somebody would come hit me because I'm coming out there with that bat.
Yeah.
I wish somebody would hit me.
Yeah.
I would dare somebody to come and hit me. And every day, every press conference, if there was a bench clearing brawl or somebody tried to hit, that's all I would talk about. I'd like baseball needs to do something about this.
Yeah.
Until they do. They need to, finally.
Like, I remember, I always reference this because it's one of my favorite baseball feuds. Yasiel Puig and Madison Bumgarner.
Yes.
Because it was the same thing that happened, and Puig charged the mound at one point.
Puig had enough, and I liked when he had enough.
Yeah, because Bumgarner and Puig got into it again recently with Nick Hundley, I think it was. Did you see this? Where he took, I don't know if he whiffed or he took a strike. I forget. But I remember he was upset at himself visibly in the box. He was upset at himself because he knew it was a great pitch. And, you don't always get that kind of like lollipop in baseball. So he knew he could crush it, missed it, or didn't take his opportunity, whatever. So he was missed at himself, cursed. Nick Hundley told him something like, hey, get back in the batter's box, like, let's go, or whatever. And Puig was annoyed at that, told him, like, to shut up or something like that. And they had to be separated, and the bench is clear for that. Puig actually, got a hand in there. So that was nice to see, and they both got suspended.
Nice to see.
No, he got suspended 2 games, and Nick Hundley also fine. No, because Nick Hundley was in the wrong there. It's like, what are you doing? Like, Puig, it's okay to have, again, this is my thing.
It's okay to have some emotion.
It's okay to have emotion. It's okay.
Under control.
It's okay to have controlled emotion if you're Hispanic in baseball, guys.
Yeah.
Like, it's totally fine. Because Madison Bumgarner, Nick Hundley, like Brian McCann, these are the regulators of the sport, right? Guys like this where they want to play baseball a certain way. Also why I was disappointed with Jose Urena because he's also Hispanic.
Which also tells me that shows you more what you need to say, right? Because who's dominating the culture of baseball and who's telling this? And my problem is the culture of baseball is bad and corny. And let's get to these bench clearing brawls. So we saw this happen with Urena. What happened? Nobody did anything. Nobody threw any punches. It's a whole bunch of dudes coming out there.
So you want violence?
No, I don't want violence. What I'm saying is, I'm going to tell you what I want. It's a whole bunch of dudes coming out like, yo, hold me back.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. And
like Jalen Rose says.
Everybody's talking. And then Urena, what killed me in that particular bench clearing non-brawl, we're not going to call it a brawl.
Yeah.
He dropped his glove like he was going to do something.
Yeah.
Like, wait, you just being somebody, then some of the, I forget who the Braves, obviously. The Marlins are playing the Braves. Braves players come out, they're talking to him like, yo, what's up with that?
Yeah.
And you drop your glove? And you're going to be like, what's up? and like 5 dudes are coming at you. What were you going to do there?
Yo.
Here's why I think it's corny. You have guys coming from the bench.
Yeah.
You got dudes running from the bullpen. Here's what I always think about. If I'm a relief pitcher and I'm in the bullpen, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to run out from the outfield all the way to the mound
God, you're the furthest away.
People back.
You're the furthest away from everybody.
If you're you ain't throwing no punches.
Yeah.
You just did a whole.
Show me something.
Back.
Matter of fact, like, yo, show
I
me
would be more impressed if somebody came out the bullpen and just came in with like a sick drop kick or somebody. That would be dope. Like if you're gonna come that far, if I'm gonna run that far, then I need some action.
That would be great.
It's time for some action.
That'd be great if like Robert Gesellman comes in and just like wheel kicks somebody. That'd be great.
I'm sorry. You know
my
what?
favorite.
Why are people suspended for leaving the bench or the bullpen?
I don't. It's like basketball with the bench also. Yeah, basketball does that too.
I'm fine. No,
Is that a fine or a suspension?
You get suspended. You miss a game.
Yeah, you do. You miss a game. Yeah, that's stupid. Also, because
I don't. No. I actually don't have a problem with that.
I do because it's a case by case basis. Like if it's a Carmelo Anthony, Nate Robinson, J.R. Smith, Madison Square Garden situation. I mean, all bets kind of have to be off, right?
Yeah, but then here's the thing.
That's a special case.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
You also have to remember in a case-by-case situation, what the NBA doesn't want, and this has been quite, they don't want another Malice at the Palace. They don't want that, right?
I do.
No, you don't. You don't want it. You think you want it. You don't want it.
No, I don't.
They don't want that.
Especially if I'm there. Don't be doing that at Barclays Center.
Now, look, I understand what you're saying in terms of that it should be case by case because if a guy has like his pinky toe across the line because he leans over because he's concerned about his teammate. You can't.
And this is my issue.
It cost my Knicks a series in 1997.
Yeah, this is my issue. This is my issue with professors in college. It's like you can't grade everybody in the exact same way. You can't. You can't have one rule across the board in every single situation.
I agree with you on that. I do think it's good that the rule exists because you can't have disorder in terms of people just stepping out into the court trying to defend people.
Yeah.
But if somebody steps across to look over and see if their teammate is okay, that might be in a skirmish down the court, and you suspend them, now you're being corny. I can look at stuff. It's just like, hey, if something happened on the baseball field and somebody stepped out the railing and looked over, I'm fine. Here's what you got to stop. You can't have 50 people on the field. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we actually allow that to happen in baseball, and we're okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy to me. There are 50 people on the field, and most times, 50 people aren't doing a damn thing out there.
Would you say that hockey does it better than every other sport? Because what happens is...
I don't care for the fighting in hockey, but at least they do. Here's one thing I know about with hockey.
It's one-on-one.
One-on-one.
Yeah.
Which is fun. And if baseball said they were going to do that, hey, if I bean you and you're pissed and you come at me, nobody can jump in. You can't jump in. It's got to be pitcher, batter. Let's go. Yeah. Let's get it done.
Then you both go to the penalty box for the rest of the game.
That's it. You can't have this people jumping in, coming off the bench. That's corny.
Yeah, if you're a starter and you beam somebody, you miss your next start. You know what I mean? If you're a hitter, you miss your next whatever.
That way, hey, if I'm gonna run out and I'm a hitter,
I'm getting this uppercut in and I'm out.
I'm gonna make it worth it. And it should be one-on-one. There's people coming in, people coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
This is how you got Joey Bautista got rocked by Odora a couple years ago. We forgot about that. Somebody did get punched in the face.
Listen, I like what Jose Bautista's been doing with the Mets, especially lately. He had his first Grand Slam with the team. But that is one of my favorite all-time baseball brawl moments. Second, probably after Pedro Martinez whipped Don Zimmer and made him roll.
Threw him to the ground. That was so disrespectful.
He did the Matador where Don Zimmer came at him and he just stepped to the side, grabbed his head, and threw him to the side.
I would love to know what Don Zimmer was thinking.
What did he think was going to happen?
What did he think? Get out of here.
But that's kind of like the gentleman's way of GTFOH. That's what I liked about it.
It could have been worse. And people were mad, and they felt so bad for Don Zimmer. And I was like, well, I'm not a Yankee fan, but I was like,
I didn't feel bad for him.
I was like, yo, old man came at him like he was going to do something.
Yeah.
He got dropped.
Pedro was being nice about it.
He could have got dropped a lot worse.
Yeah, he could have did a back body drop, and then what would have happened? Yeah. Or Arn Anderson spine buster, then what would have happened?
Had to bring it back to wrestling.
Yeah. Drop toe hold, you know what I'm saying? These are other efficient ways.
My thing is, like, I don't care for the fighting in hockey, but one thing they have that's right, hey.
They just let.
And it's like in that culture, everybody respects it.
Yeah.
Two dudes are going at it, they drop the gloves, everybody backs away.
Yeah, like
and
that.
They're like, we're going to let these dudes fight it out.
Like, I can't believe I'm about to condone this. But think about how much more effective it would be in football, where you would just let the two guys just do it, and then they're, maybe suspended for the rest of the game. Instead of everybody else getting onto the field and pushing and shoving.
Higher risk of injury.
Yeah.
Worse can happen with more people involved.
Yeah, because you're talking about more people and more injuries and more catastrophes.
Yeah.
But when it's just one-on-one, it's like, all right, y'all, it's like the old school man's way of like, y'all, just do it. Just.
But, that now we have a lot of people just talking on the field, getting each other's faces, not doing anything. And where the talking doesn't happen and people saying, this shouldn't happen anymore. We're in 2018 and we still think it's okay. Well, a good amount of people think it's okay to bean somebody because they gave up a home run or they don't like that somebody's dominating. And baseball, baseball people always like to talk about, setting an example for the kids. What example is this for the kids? What are you showing the kids?
Yeah.
That, hey, when you don't perform well, you can act like a spoiled brat, and that's okay?
Yeah, that's highly problematic. I will say this, though. Ronald Acuna came back the next game, leadoff single.
Yeah. Hey, that kid's good.
Yes.
That kid's real good. We haven't talked about it. That kid's good.
Yeah. Sidebar, yeah. Him, Ozzy Albus, wow. The Braves.
The Braves have some good.
Listen, I'll say, like, Ahmed Rosario debuted about a year ago. It was like August 1st, 2017, and he's great fielder. Starting to look a little better with the bat in spurts, but the Mets need
You're about to go down a rabbit hole of a lot of what they need.
Yeah, but it's just it's unfortunate because their prospects never seemingly start off like that outside of Matt Harvey when outside of the pitchers really when they first came up.
I feel like
Jacob deGrom was great. I think he was rookie of the year. He was great in the beginning.
Right and Race when they came up were really good too. Like that. You forget.
Oh my God.
But that's so long ago now.
But you know what I mean? Like Ahmed Rosario, like you have to wait. See, it's funny because if you're a fan, you're like, wait, Ahmed Rosario's, why isn't he coming up playing the same way? But he's only 22. But Ronald Acuna and Ozzy Alves are around the same age, and they're already doing that thing. But not everybody's like that. You know what I mean? There's a whole bunch of rabbit holes.
We haven't had that kind of position player in quite some time.
Yeah.
Come up and really.
I think Rosario could still be like.
I think still be good. We just have somebody come up and.
I still think Dominic Smith could be pretty good. You got to remember with him too. Like as excited as people are about Peter Alonso. Peter Alonso's 6 months older than Dominic Smith. Dominic Smith just got drafted a lot earlier because he came out of high school and signed.
We'll see if the organization feels that way. All right, we're going to come back. We're going to take a break. Then we'll come back. When we come back, we're going to talk about how I got owned by some mosquitoes this week and why I now believe mosquitoes are some of the most useless animals that they are on the planet. I think there's a whole bunch of other useless animals. Plus, Brian has a beef with somebody coming at millennials and the way they spend.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that when we come back on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast.
It ain't hard to tell where to get the latest merchandise from Backpack Broadcasting. Gear is now available via TeePublic. Visit the Backpack Broadcasting TeePublic online store to get shirts, hoodies, mugs, and phone cases. Represent your favorite Backpack Broadcasting shows, including the Sports Walk, Sideline Stories, and of course, the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Check out the special offers for our podcast listeners at http://t.pub/lic/backpack. Get in the game with your official Backpack Broadcasting gear today.
All right, welcome back. Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, episode 39.
What happened there?
I don't know. While we were gone, something got in my eye. I think that's got me all.
It's affected you?
It's affected my speech.
You gotta
Ain't
fight
Hard
through.
to Tell podcast.
We got to fight through. We can't afford to be not coming correct.
No, can't afford that.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about how this week I went up to Elmira, New York, for this flooding.
Yeah.
Flooding and the warm weather we've been having. See, now I'm really talking a lot of this weather stuff. Really gotten into my job. So
I want to hear it. So.
We were doing these live shots, and so there was a lot of flooding at this one area, and we're doing these live shots, and we were doing this live shot in front of a home, and this is how bad the flooding was. This entire person's yard had really got flooded, and like in one part of the yard, it basically looked like there was a lake there, right? So the grass is wet, and we're doing these. The first one we did probably was about 7:30, 8 o'clock. I can't remember the exact time, but it's humid, and it's been so much water, and it's sitting there, and it's it's damp. So and it's getting late at night, so this is perfect for mosquitoes.
Yeah,
they're just hovering around this. So we're doing this live shot, and I got bit up. I mean, I've counted from that day. I got 20 bites from that night.
What?
20 bites on my leg, my arm. I'm still.
You should go to the doctor, bro. 20?
20 bites. I counted.
Oh my
20
God!
bites. And
I told you Elmira was gonna be trash.
For each.
I never been. I'm being ignorant.
For each, yes, you are.
Fully ignorant. I admit
for
it.
Each, I mean.
If it's past Westchester, I'm like.
I didn't have a problem with it outside of the mosquitoes. That's probably my most annoying thing. How did that get up there? So.
I took a sticker off his arm that somehow got there for the audio listeners.
Should start wearing that all the time. They were just attacking, and what was bad was I had to be out there. I'm wearing a polo and shorts. So my legs are obviously exposed. I'm feeling them. They're just swarming all around. They're on my arms. At one point, I had to, stop and go into the SUV. I was on camera for this. So I had to go in the SUV and threw on a hoodie to cover my arms. Because I was thinking, I even got what? They were so disrespectful. I got 2 on the back of my neck.
Disrespectful mosquitoes.
So it's funny. This is how we get into this thing. So I'm talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I'm telling her about this trip and how I got bit up by these mosquitoes, and she's like, I hate mosquitoes. She's like, what's their purpose? What do they do? She was like, you know how spiders...
Now we're getting into the rabbit hole.
She was like, you know how spiders, people don't like them? Which I never understand why people are afraid of spiders.
I killed one this morning.
I'm not afraid of spiders. And some people will be mad at you for that.
And you want to know how I killed one this morning?
Why?
Jab straight.
Why?
Because it was on my wall.
But it's doing nothing to you.
But it's in my house. That's disrespectful. Spider. You get in my house, I take that as disrespect because you're unwelcome. And you're coming through like some sort of portal that you're not allowed to come through. So I two-pieced him and it's dead.
Clearly it was. Why do you have to get two-pieced?
One wasn't enough.
That spider could be killing...
Well, actually, the first one was like a dummy jab. You know, you just set it up for your like power punch. And then once I hit it with that one, it fell.
Why are you setting up a spider for a power punch?
I want to make sure it dies.
Why?
Because it's in my house.
It's not doing anything to you.
It doesn't. Yes, it is.
It's doing nothing.
What if I wasn't going out to record the podcast that day and I was like just on my couch and then the spider would.
The spiders are helpful.
In what way?
They sometimes help kill other insects that could actually be harmful.
Man. Then help me outside, not inside my house.
But those insects could be inside your house.
Well, I'm elbowing you in the fucking excuse me in the face if you're coming into my house. You're gonna have to bleep that out.
That's how mad you are at spiders?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it was just in my it's more of it's the principle, right? Wow. It's not that you're a spider. It's that you're a spider in my house. So I'm going to kill you.
All right, so what? now, if you're going to kill the spiders that have some use, what are you doing to the mosquito? I'm
killing the mosquitoes.
What use does a mosquito have?
Let me ask you this. I think mice and rats are largely useless as a native New Yorker.
Don't even get me started on that. You're going down. Don't get me started on that. Did we ever talk about our story? Remember our story?
Oh my God!
We never even talked about that. I don't think we've ever talked about it on this podcast.
I don't know if we did because
I don't think we did.
We had like one or two other episodes after that. And we had Nabate on.
I don't think we did.
Yeah,
but
oh God,
Brian, for those listeners, Brian and I.
Even if we didn't, we're gonna tell it again.
We did. This was the day Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Still one of my top highlights of the year.
We were shooting. If people have watched the Sideline Stories piece we did,
La Cultura.
We went there to shoot some shots of the parade and
yes.
Brian's opening stand-up in the piece, and we left, and we were going to Grand Central Station, and we get down, and we're taking the 405 back to where we got to go in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And Brian, so people who've been on a New York City subway platform will understand, but Brian is... We are literally right near the steps when you come down onto the platform. We are like literally 10 feet away from you.
Yeah.
Brian is posted up against one of the columns that's there.
Yeah.
I am between two columns. On the other column is another young lady.
Yes.
Who I don't remember. I think she was reading a book while listening to some music. I think she had something in her hand. I don't know if it was a book or her phone.
Yeah.
And I'm between the two columns. My back... not maybe the best way I should be standing, was to the platform. Not necessarily.
But you weren't standing on the yellow.
No, I wasn't standing on the yellow.
Yeah. We got to clear that part of it up.
And
you were facing me.
All of a sudden, I'm looking down, I think at the point, I'm looking at my phone, and all of a sudden in the corner, I see something move. And I see it near this girl's foot.
Fam.
But I didn't notice, and I looked again, then I saw it move again, and I looked, and I see a huge... rat.
Yo,
not a mouse.
Yo,
a rat.
Yo, it was probably the size of my forearm. Like, it was huge.
It was huge. And for people who don't know, if you know me, I don't mess with the rodents.
Yeah,
I don't like the rodents.
I have a phobia.
I have a phobia. It's gotten better over time.
It's something that I struggle to kill.
I don't like them.
Yeah.
I will never like them.
Never.
My daughter better never ask me for a gerbil. Not happening. We ain't doing that. No gerbils. No.
They serve to me. They serve no purpose on this earth.
I might actually tolerate squirrels to some degree, but even they can be some annoying things.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. MFers.
Mouse is near the woman's foot. I immediately yell out, "Oh, bleep!"
Yeah.
You heard me say this.
Yes.
It's
because I was looking at you. I saw you look down and say. I saw you look down and say, "Oh bleep." So then right away I look down And
what did it do? As soon as I said
it jumped over my foot.
Wait, before that, it runs. It heard me say, "Oh bleep!" It was like, "Oh, I'm coming to get you." It just scooted out from the girl's foot. She sees it. She now sees it run past her.
I'm getting squeamish.
She's like, it comes right to me.
Yeah.
I
hadn't seen it at this point.
Yeah. I jumped.
Yeah.
That's the thing. When Bryan notices it, it then ventures. It goes underneath where I jump.
Yeah.
Ventures towards Bryan. Comes right for Bryan's foot.
Yeah.
I don't remember what you did to get out the way.
I sidestepped it.
Brian
I did a Pedro Martinez and Don Zimmer.
Bryan sidesteps it.
Jumped over my foot.
It goes around the column that Bryan is posted up against, and now there's the next column, and there's a dude there reading a newspaper, and it runs.
Shout out to him because we got to keep newspapers alive.
It ran right over his foot and kept it moving down the platform.
Yeah.
Now.
It was huge.
I know it was. To be clear, it was a Sunday. It's Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Yes.
Train schedule's not.
We were getting ready to edit that video.
Yep. Train schedule's not as crazy. Not as many people on the platform. But this rat was utterly disrespectful.
Fam.
It gave no dams and hopped on the platform. And you're just running at people. See, how are you so comfortable in a city of 8+ million people that you're just running up to people, running over people? Like, how are you this comfortable? And there's the thing. I read something a couple months ago where it's like, it's very possible the rats, or if they have not done already, they're going to outnumber the population of people here in New York City.
No.
That's a problem.
No, I don't want that. Are you kidding? Bro.
It's happening, man. It's happening.
People are trying to give me every reason to leave New York.
And I also encourage people out there, if you can, I watched this maybe about a month ago.
Kill every mouse and rat you see.
There's a group of people. They are rat killers. They go out and they hunt rats in the city. I watched this on Vice. They go out with little dogs. I forget which kind of dogs they use, but they're like, these dogs are fantastic for killing rats. I love them. I would almost get one of these dogs myself. Not that I have a rat problem to deal with, but just because.
Me neither, but
just because they can.
When I eventually get a good spot, like, I'm going to need that.
These people go out and they hunt rats in like rat-infested areas around certain housing developments near the water. The rat problem is serious. Look.
Among many other MTA-related problems.
I mean, I wouldn't blame the MTA for the rat problem.
I mean, can we?
No, you can't blame them.
Why not?
They're part of the MTA now.
Ew.
They might as well be part of the union. In that like they're there. They're in every subway. You don't know.
It was one of my most traumatizing experiences with those little bastards.
They're not little. That's the thing. They're not little.
Yeah, that's true.
Look,
you know what it is though?
They're up there in useless animals.
I'm with you in terms of the disrespect. Because usually when I'm on, like, I've seen them on Lorimer, I've seen them on J Street, on the edge of the platform, but they kind of just bust off and go away.
Yep. This one
had some balls, man.
In Grand Central, of all places. They're just like, man, I don't care.
We were in Grand Central. My God.
And he's like, I'm coming right at you.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. See, mosquitoes, I agree. What do? They draw your blood.
What do bees do?
They give us honey.
Okay.
So they're damn
What if
useful.
I don't want honey?
I love honey.
Okay.
But what? I'm not anti the bee. Who's against the bee?
I mean, I told you that story about one time I went in my backyard actually I was going to play. I had a hoop and I was actually going to shoot some or whatever. And then 4 bees that were hanging out in the back of my hoop came out and stung me in the back of my neck at the same time. Then I ran inside. And then
who gets stung by 4 bees?
And then I came back out and, little Violent Bryan was just like, I found some other balls and was just beaming them at, like,
that wasn't smart.
Yeah. So, yeah. I ended up killing a good amount of them, and then a couple of them, I don't think I saw them again.
I'm not messing with multiple bees, but I do love the bees because bees produce
honey. I had balls, literally and figuratively, so they weren't messing with me that day.
They must have felt your energy. That's why they stung you. Like, this guy's violent.
Yeah, I was also an easy target because, like, I was growing my hair out. This was when I was, like, 17, so, yeah, the afro was coming in. So that was probably it. They were probably just not happy with me.
Bees are far from useless.
Okay.
Mosquitoes, mice, and rats, I don't understand.
The
problem I have with
they feed snakes. Is that it?
Stammy snakes got to eat.
We don't have snakes in New York.
But that's not my thing.
New York City.
That's not my thing with mice and rats and why they annoy me is because they can get into anything. A rat and a mouse can get into a slit that's
I'm uncomfortable.
as thin as a dime.
I'm actually very uncomfortable.
They can slide into that. They can get into anywhere. That's why I think they're like the creepiest thing. Like, you could put anything. People are afraid of spiders. I'm not afraid of spiders.
Me neither.
They don't bother me.
Yeah, they don't bother me either. Unless they get in my house and I'm going to punch them.
Snakes.
They get in my house and it was right. It was such a great shot. It was just right there on the wall. It was great.
You like violence way too much. You like violence way too much. Now hold on. You were also telling me to move on from this useless animal thing. You sent me this story.
So I found this story. I originally read it August 7th. But this isn't one of those things where we have to get to this evergreen. This is a very evergreen episode, and we like evergreen content.
I found this story interesting.
So the headline is pigging out. 49% of millennials spend more eating out than saving for retirement by Paul Bedard of the Washington Examiner. And I took exception to this because, well, why would we save for retirement if we're not going to be able to make enough money to retire the majority of us?
I mean that's a fair point. Or you believe? Well, I think there's different things in saving for retirement.
The world is just so different now. This is something that actually Joe Rogan mentioned on this podcast, where it's like, why are we still doing 8-hour shifts when some people in their jobs, I think you're going to agree with this, are way more efficient than other people, where they can just do all the work they got to do in 3 hours, but then they have to stay at a place for 5 hours looking like they're doing work just to fill out a timesheet.
I mean, I don't disagree with that.
Just to fill out a time card or whatever, right?
Look.
So it's like, this goes back to my earlier point of why are we doing things the way that we used to? And
I question this stuff all the time. There's a lot of things people do based on tradition in society.
Tradition is stupid in a lot of areas.
That doesn't necessarily serve the way we move today or the world is today. But
like the NCAA, for example?
Yeah, but people still do things.
Yeah.
And then people don't want to get away from them. Or, But so this is one. Here's my thing. I agree with that point on why are we working sometimes 8-hour days, 40-hour work weeks when it doesn't serve everyone for every job.
Yeah. Especially ours.
Here's the thing on this article that I find interesting.
Yeah.
I don't take offense to it, even though I'm in like the older side technically of millennials. I don't take offense to it.
You're like right on that line.
Because I think we know this from statistics in America. Financially, a lot of people are just bad with the money. They don't save. Americans have a lot of debt. So there's a lot of financial issues. I think people may take issue with this article is it appears as though this is something that is just starting with millennials, because the author then, and I'm kind of paraquoting him, talks about how millennials want to spend more on experiences and living in the moment and blah, blah, blah.
That's how he's phrasing it.
I do think
the very first sentence is fat and broke is no way to enter the golden years.
I do think there is some truth to that.
Yeah.
In a degree, which I think is good about people. I think people do want to experience things more. But the reason that might be, and I think the point that he may have possibly left out of this discussion is, well, a lot of millennials, what they're starting to see is that, we're not going to necessarily get the same job benefits that maybe your parents did because work industries are different. You're not going to necessarily work in an industry and work there for 25, 30 years.
It was
and
easier.
Then come out with a pension.
It was easier back then to make money, get a house, and all that stuff.
It's
much easier.
It's not like that now.
Yeah.
And so I think there are people who recognize that, and so most people work in, not most people, but a lot of people now are working in more non-traditional ways. So the job force is shifting. So if the job force is shifting, then the way people spend is going to shift. And he also, like I remember in the numbers they put in this article, they also talked about, you're spending on music streaming service. But then I say this, I've had this argument before with my dad, and before it's like, well, nowadays we have more things that are bills that you didn't even have. Like my parents basically for most of their lives didn't have to pay for internet. They didn't need it. It wasn't a necessity. It didn't exist.
That's true.
There are things we pay. Now, some people can say we don't need it, and some of it's convenience, but some of it is like, you didn't have a cell phone. That's another thing. What I mean?
Yeah.
At some point, for maybe not really our parents, but other people didn't have cable TV.
Yeah.
There were different expenses that come up that, you only had to worry about, like, basically your rent and maybe a car payment. And mortgage, and that was it. Yeah. So I think when you're doing an article like this, you need to actually compare things across different eras, because then it comes across, and I think where you might have the issue is yo, it sounds like you're saying like, yo, millennials are just not giving a damn
it's
about spending their money. I do think that whole living in the moment or paying for experiences, I think there's some truth to that. But I think what you're disregarding is there are people that have the balance in it. Yes, I believe that you should enjoy experiences more than actually accumulating things sometimes. I think it's good to enjoy the stuff like your trips. Those are things that stay with you forever. Who cares if I have a lot? That's how I believe. But if you want to buy things, that's fine too.
Yeah.
But I also think everybody should save. I just think people are saving in different ways because he didn't really go into how people might be saving for retirement. There's many different ways to do that.
And how do you know if I'm saving for retirement?
Just by my spending habits. That's not. I mean, they said that they did go into, I think, about how much of those who do save actually save. So I found that interesting, but I didn't know what they were doing. Is it just looking at people who put money in a savings account? Is it people who invest in other things? Because there's many different ways to do that. So I didn't know that. So I can see where people get defensive on this. However, I think if you're a millennial that's saving and spending your money wisely, I think you're going to be fine. I think there's always a good amount of people just based on American culture that are going to consume a lot of things, and I think that goes across all generations. I don't think it's necessarily a millennial thing.
It's just closed-minded to sort of blame everything going wrong on this generation that just happens to be in this generation, right? Like the millennials just happen to be the next people up. Like we just happen to be the next people up to have to survive in this generation. So if we're doing things a certain way, I mean, what would really be different, right? If people were handling today's world the best case scenario, according to somebody's thinking.
I mean, I don't.
Somebody else,
but I don't know what that even means. Like, not saying to you, I don't even know. Like, you can't say.
That's what, I don't think there's. Basically, what I'm saying is there's not a perfect way to really live in this world right now. So I think that first of all, second of all, my other thing was why would saving for retirement, like, why would think about it. Like, yes, it's a cool and noble idea to think that a bunch of 20-year-olds are going to save for when they eventually have to retire. Why would a 20-year-old be thinking about retirement realistically?
I mean, I think you should to some degree, but
I sure as hell am not, because the way the economy is and the way things are, I'm probably going to be working until I'm in a box.
I hope you're not.
In heaven.
I hope you're not. But I think the problem is, to take the point of what you're saying, is
or in the GTA parallel universe that I created last week.
Parallel universe did be, that'll get to another.
Yeah.
But I think that the problem what you're saying is most 20-year-olds in a lot of industries right now are worried about, can I just get a job?
Yeah.
Like, they're just trying to get paid.
You know how,
and I think that's the problem that this article ignores, is that folks are trying to look at how they can actually make some money.
Bro.
If you don't know how you're going to make the money, how are you even going to think about saving?
Bro, I'm a freelancer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Back then, a college degree meant more. You can graduate from college in the 70s or 80s if you were a boomer and get a job right away in a lot of places.
Yep, and that's hard.
And get benefits and get those sort of things. Now you can't do. You know how many health insurance is a big thing in this country because a lot of people who are 25, 26, 28, 30 years old, they can't, they don't have the health insurance to really help them sort of get by. That's another bill that you have to pay for as you get older is just health insurance.
Don't tell me about
which
that.
Isn't an issue in Canada, for example.
Well, see, now you're hitting the nail on the head. I believe that's another thing I think this article ignores, which is that if you're going to look at this and make it somewhat a view on millennials and their spending and their saving, then why aren't you looking at this system that exists for it to maybe necessarily be this way, right? Like maybe in certain other countries where the folks don't have to worry about spending as much money for education or health care, two things I think people should have basic rights to and access to, that would actually make your society way more productive. If that was the case, then maybe you wouldn't even be writing this article. And maybe the capitalistic system and the structure and the way it exists, not that I'm extremely super against anti-capitalism, but if there were some things that added more to actually benefit society, maybe some principles of socialism, which people are going to get all up in arms about, but whatever, do some reading. I think that's what's problematic with the articles. gets on one point, but let's also look at the broader system as to why this is. That's always my problem with everything. If you're going to have this glaring eye and be like, oh, millennials are doing this, well, then let's look at why it's that way.
Yeah, or cynically, I could assume that, hey, maybe this person just wanted clicks and attention, and, you know.
Or maybe it's just the old person. Like, look at these millennials.
Yeah. I like my big thing when people post like this and write things like this and put it out is people what they want attention a lot of times. The outlet does or the writer does, whoever. Like when 45 tweets and people are responding, he just wants to get a reaction. When certain people tweet about things, they just want to get a reaction.
You think that this is this kind of article?
Yeah, but I ignore it unless I use it for my own content, is what I'm saying. So I think what people need to do is ignore these kind of things usually, unless you could use it to benefit yourself.
I personally don't think. But I don't think this is a bad point to have discussion off of. I think you just need to dive deeper into it.
The world is just too different now. Again, you can't go based off tradition for everything. You can't guard everything with the same prism that we had 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40. The world is way too different now to where, college degree is cool and all, but it's going to become more and more and more relevant with the rise of social media and people, companies just finding people and be like, hey, I can get this person for a little bit because he's a teenager and he's really popular, as opposed to somebody who has ample amount of experience, and I'm speaking from ample amount of experience.
So, right. You can't hold on to that forever. Yeah. All right, before we go, last week, one of our favorite shows, which we talked about a little bit in the podcast last season, Insecure returned.
Yeah.
By the time we record this podcast, already be 2 episodes in.
Yeah.
But what did you think? What do you think the season's going? I found out recently, I don't remember if I texted you about this, but I found out that Jay Ellis will not be in this season of Insecure. So Team Lawrence folks are, pretty disappointed about that. I am a little bit too. That also probably means we will not see the lovely Dominique Perry.
Well, that's the thing is people wanted Lawrence back, and I kept saying like, "Yo, what about Tasha?"
Tasha?
I was like, "Y'all missing the point here. We kind of want Tasha back. Some of us.
We do. We do. I thought I liked the season premiere. I thought it kicked off things interesting. I like where the show was going.
Yeah, that was a great opening scene.
It was a great opening scene, and I think that it's going to be very interesting to see how the characters grow up if they can this season. I think it's like everybody's still trying to figure their stuff out. The whole adulting thing. Yeah, you think Molly and Issa are saving a lot right now?
Yeah,
I don't know. And that's a good thing because it's reflective of a millennial life, more so surrounding black women trying to make it in their mid-20s out in Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
Like trying to figure stuff out, and also 2 women who at very different points in their careers, if you would say. Yeah. So I find that's kind of interesting tie into there.
Issa Rae had a lot of like odd jobs when she was growing up too. You know what I mean?
Just Issa, right?
Just Issa, so that kind of ties into that as well. But yeah, I'm excited about this season. Issa Rae sort of said or hinted at in other interviews that this is going to be, her trying to figure it out from like that sort of perspective. So I'm looking forward to it. First episode was funny. With the whole brawl in the lift.
That had me dying.
I saw Ballers too. I don't think you're into Ballers.
No, I am. I just didn't watch last season. I liked the first 2 seasons. I didn't watch last season. I have to catch up on that. I watched I think like 2 episodes last season, so I have a little bit of catching up to do, and then start this season. I'll catch up to that at some point. I'm trying to catch up on. Lately, I've been trying to catch up on some shows that I've been behind on. And trying to get caught up on some other shows. So like, still got Luke Cage to go to. Although Luke Cage, I got a bone to pick with y'all. Luke Cage. I'm gonna say this real quick. Luke Cage started watching season 2. There are some people on the show who are actors to be Jamaican, and the accents are awful.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they're bad.
Have you seen Black Klansman yet?
Yes, I saw it Friday night. I went to see it.
All right, I wanna go see it.
I think you will like it.
Okay.
It's very good. I wouldn't say it was great. It's very good. Some of Spike's best work in years.
Really?
I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely his best movie in a while. It's got good comedic elements. People need to understand that it is not actually a true story, but loosely based on that.
Yeah.
And so there's some things that are not factually correct about the story, but the point that is being made is really good, and that is being shown kind of about how racism works, or has worked in a different time.
That's what,
and it's not really that.
I get
different,
that vibe.
Not
from the
really that different today. If you're pro 45, you're not gonna like this movie. So
Great,
just to let you know.
my kind of movie.
If you are, you probably don't listen to us anyway. So that's a whole nother
That is true. That is true.
But yeah.
But if you are, thank you.
But it was good.
We appreciate it.
I went to see it. I went to see it the other night, and I enjoyed it. I thought the crowd I saw around it people really enjoyed it, and people were clapping at the end, which I still feel is always kind of weird. People doing movies, but yeah, it was good. It was good. It's a very good film. I would say it's a very good film. I wouldn't call it amazing, but I think it's very good, very solid, good watch.
Good. I'll check it out soon. Hopefully there are no rats in the theaters.
What theaters are you going to with rats in it?
No. I've heard reports though. There's
I'm gonna stay away from those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm staying away from those.
Keep them away from Chelsea Theater or Kaufman.
All right. So I think if you've learned anything from this episode of this podcast, it is we're not here for the useless animals.
Yeah.
That actually might be the title. I think I'm going with that.
We're not here for the useless animals. And I'm also here for the violence. According to you.
Yeah, that's what you're here for. All right, that's it for episode 39 of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Bryan, Fonseca, Dexter, Henry, you know what you guys can do. Leave us a great rating. 5 stars if you can.
Patreon.
On
please.
iTunes. Support us on Patreon. We will have more extra content coming out this week from the Sports Walk. So there'll be some bonus content from there. New episode of that coming out. We'll have more coming out here on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Our next episode, hopefully, we will have a guest to talk a little bit about the U.S. Open. So stick around with us for that, guys. Continue to support us. That's it for this episode. We'll be back with more next time on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast.